Hello everybody and Happy New Year. My name is Weyman and I'm the Assistant Principal Violist of the NJSO. And I'm so happy to welcome you to the first week of our New Year, New Orchestra U Challenge. So we are doing Orchestra U again this year, but it's going to be virtual like it was last year. So instead of our usual thing of getting together in the lobby to read a piece together, we're going to be making a recording. And the piece that we've chosen for this year is one of my favorites, Glinka's Overture to Ruslan and Ludmila. So we've decided we're going to be releasing a weekly video featuring an NJSO musician as your coach. And that weekly video will have some practice tips and tricks that will hopefully get everybody in shape and ready to record. This first week is going to be kind of a warm-up. We're going to be doing some of the most important prep work of all, which is listening. So I'm going to talk you through some of the strategies I use to get to know a piece before I've even opened my case. If all you have time for this week is to listen to the piece while you're cooking dinner or during your commute, that's great. But you can definitely kick it up a notch by listening with your part in front of you or with the score. And it's also a good idea to try and listen to a variety of recordings if you can, so you can get a feeling for the range of tempos and styles that people typically use for a piece. And actually one of my favorite things to do is just look up a bunch of different videos on YouTube. And I love that both because there's so much variety available from professional ensembles to student groups, and also because there are lots of options for different visuals. So for example, you can actually usually find a video where they have the score and it follows along for you one line at a time, which I find to be super helpful because I can't tell you how many times I've been trying to do some score study and I get distracted for a second and then my eyes go back to the page and I'm frantically flipping back and forth trying to figure out where I am, which can be kind of a bummer. So it's nice to have the computer do that work for you. Or you can also see usually a ton of live recordings of orchestras, which is also really helpful for me because I play viola, which is sort of an inner voice, and depending how the recording is mixed, you can't always necessarily pick it out super easily. So having that visual cue of seeing the section start to play can be a big help. And it's also nice to see what the conductors are doing, what different conductors do. You can get an idea for if a certain passage is typically conducted in 1 or in 2, or if there's a range of things people do, so you have a little bit better idea of what to expect. So lastly, I'm just going to give you a couple of things to listen for when you're doing your listening. So the first of those is going to be try to identify what role your part is playing, whether you guys are playing a melody or if it's more of a harmony or accompaniment figure. For viola, it's usually not the first one, but it does happen. It's good to be prepared for that. It's also important to think about what other sections you're playing with. And most importantly, I think in a lot of ways, is to get to know your rests and your entrances. Because you can work as hard as you want on the parts where you do play, but if you don't know what's going on when you're not playing, you're not going to be ready for a rehearsal or reading or recording. So it's so important to know when you're supposed to come in and be ready for that. And then if it feels fun to you, feel free to sing along to your part when you're listening or play along. That can also help familiarize you with how things are supposed to sound before you get to the big day of your performance or recording. So thanks so much for joining us for the first week of the challenge. I'm ready to get started with my listening. I've got my part ready. And be sure to join us next week. We're going to be talking about D major scales. So happy listening.